While Europe was in the Dark Ages, one civilization was building libraries with 500,000 books, inventing algebra, and creating art so advanced it wouldn't be matched for centuries. And most people have never heard of it. For 800 years, Islamic Spain, Al-Andalus, was the most advanced society on the continent. Think about that. 8 centuries of continuous innovation, discovery, and cultural flourishing while the rest of Europe struggled through medieval times. In cities like Córdoba and Granada, something extraordinary happened. Christians, Muslims, and Jews didn't just coexist, they thrived together. They collaborated on projects. They learned from each other. They built something genuinely unprecedented in medieval history. These weren't small contributions. Al-Andalus scholars translated the complete works of Greek philosophers, Aristotle, Plato, Euclid. Knowledge that had been lost to Western Europe for centuries came flooding back through Islamic Spain. Without these translations, the Renaissance might never have happened. They developed mathematics that changed the world. Algebra, the word itself comes from the Arabic al-jabr. The numerical system you use right now also came from Islamic scholars in Al-Andalus. Every time you write a number, you're using their invention. Medicine in Al-Andalus wasn't just advanced, it was revolutionary. They built the first hospitals with separate wards for different diseases. They understood sanitation. They performed complex surgeries. The surgical instruments they developed are still used in operating rooms today, over 1,000 years later. The art, the architecture, the poetry, it was breathtaking. The Alhambra Palace in Granada stands as a monument to their aesthetic and engineering genius. When Europeans finally saw what Al-Andalus had created, they were stunned. This was a level of sophistication they couldn't match. But then came the Reconquista. Christian kingdoms from the north began pushing south. One by one, they conquered Al-Andalus territories. It wasn't a sudden collapse, it was slow, steady erosion over centuries. By 1492, the last Muslim stronghold of Granada fell. The Islamic presence in Spain ended. Here's what's wild though. Europe didn't suddenly become advanced after Al-Andalus fell. In fact, the Renaissance, the supposed rebirth of European civilization, happened right after 1492. And where did the fuel for that rebirth come from? The knowledge Al-Andalus left behind. Spanish scholars took the preserved Greek texts, the mathematical breakthroughs, the medical advances, the architectural innovations, everything Al-Andalus had accumulated and protected for 8 centuries. They carried this knowledge across Europe. It sparked the intellectual explosion we call the Renaissance. But here's the problem, history rewrote itself. The Renaissance became the story of European genius rediscovering classical learning. Al-Andalus, the civilization that had preserved, protected, and advanced that knowledge for centuries, was systematically erased from the narrative. We forgot who actually kept the light on during Europe's darkest times. When you learn European history in school, Al-Andalus gets maybe a footnote. If you're lucky. The civilization that shaped everything, that literally made the Renaissance possible, got written out of the story. This isn't just a historical oversight. It's a fundamental gap in how we understand our own past. The history we're taught isn't always the history that happened. Al-Andalus is just one example of a story that got buried. There are countless others. If you want to understand the real history behind what we've been taught, subscribe. Because the most important discoveries are often the ones we've forgotten.